The moment I hit the concrete, time slowed. My body tumbled down the stone steps as gasps erupted from the arriving guests. Through the pain, I caught a glimpse of my uncle's face, not remorse or shock, but calculation. The cameras intended to capture my father's surprise party instead documented my betrayal. My name is Eleanor Hayes, and I never thought protecting what was rightfully mine would cost me so much or reveal how little I truly knew about my family. The morning had started with such promise. Golden light streams through my bedroom curtains as I carefully wrapped my father's birthday gift, a first edition of his favorite Hemingway novel that took months to track down. The weight of the book in my hands feels right, substantial, like the relationship we've rebuilt since Mom died. Dad turned 60 today, and after everything he sacrificed for me, I want this celebration to be perfect. I checked my appearance one last time: cream silk blouse, charcoal pencil skirt, pearl earrings that were my mother's. Professional but festive. I need to look the part today, the responsible daughter, the successful architect, the woman worthy of the inheritance that's caused so much tension in our family. My phone buzzes with a text from my cousin Melissa. Uncle Richard asking about you again. Be prepared. I sigh, tucking the phone away. Of course he is. The drive to my childhood home takes 20 minutes, each mile bringing a heavier weight to my chest. Uncle Richard's car is already parked in the driveway, a gleaming new Mercedes that seems out of place next to Dad's sensible sedan. For a man who claims to need investment capital for his struggling business, my uncle certainly maintains an expensive lifestyle. I park on the street and gather my things: Dad's gift, a bottle of his favorite whiskey, and the folder containing the trust documents my lawyer finalized yesterday. The papers represent my decision, final and irreversible, about the money my mother left me. The money Uncle Richard believes should be kept in the family business. The money that has created a fault line between us that widens with each passing month. The front door opens before I reach it. Elle, you're early. My father's smile is genuine, his arms open wide for a hug. At 60, he still stands tall and strong, though his hair has gone completely silver since Mom's passing 3 years ago. I breathe in his familiar scent, aftershave and coffee, and for a moment, I'm a little girl again, safe and protected. Happy birthday, Dad, I say, pulling back to hand him the carefully wrapped package. I wanted to have some time with you before everyone arrives. His eyes crinkle at the corners. Best gift already, time with my favorite daughter. I'm your only daughter, I laugh, a routine exchange that feels comforting in its predictability. Details, details, he waves dismissively, ushering me inside. Richard's in the kitchen. He's been helping me set up. The warmth in my chest cools slightly. How thoughtful of him. Dad either misses or ignores the edge in my voice. He's been great today. Actually, he mentioned wanting to speak with you about something. Some business proposal. I'm sure he does, I mutter, plastering on a smile as we enter the kitchen. Uncle Richard stands at the island, arranging a cheese platter with meticulous precision. Unlike my father, Richard is all sharp edges, crisp button-down rolled to the elbows, hair perfectly styled despite the humid June day, posture rigid as he looks up. Eleanor, he says, my full name stretching awkwardly between us. Glad you could join us early. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Wouldn't miss it, Uncle Richard. I place the whiskey on the counter. Dad deserves the best celebration. Indeed he does. Richard wipes his hands on a dish towel. Thomas, why don't you check if the ice delivered? I'd like to catch up with Eleanor. Dad glances between us, hesitating before nodding. Sure. Don't start any wars in my kitchen, you two. He chuckles at his own joke, but there's an undercurrent of genuine concern as he leaves the room. The moment he's gone, the temperature seems to drop 10 degrees. Richard leans against the counter, studying me. You're looking well. The architecture firm must be treating you nicely. It is. We just landed the Wilson Museum renovation. I busy myself rearranging fruit on a platter, avoiding his gaze. Congratulations. Though I imagine the hours are brutal. Wouldn't it be nice to have some passive income to supplement all that hard work? And there it is, not even 2 minutes before he's circling back to his favorite topic. My income is just fine, thank you. Eleanor, he sighs my name like I'm a disappointing child. Your mother would have wanted that money working for the family. Hayes Developments has been our legacy for 3 generations. A legacy that's currently underwater on 4 properties and facing a lawsuit from the Westridge investors. I counter, my voice level despite the anger bubbling beneath. Mom left her share to me, not the company. That was a deliberate choice. Richard's jaw tightens. Your mother didn't understand the market fluctuations. If she'd known you'd mismanage the company into near bankruptcy after Dad stepped back? If she'd known you'd burn through your own inheritance in less than 2 years. The words escape before I can stop them. That's unfair. His voice drops dangerously low. I've kept this company afloat through the worst housing market in decades. Your father couldn't handle the pressure. That's why he retired early. Dad retired because Mom was dying. My hands clench into fists. He prioritized being with her in her final months over work. Something you might consider a weakness, but I call love. Richard straightens, nostrils flaring. We can stand here trading insults, or we can talk like adults about the future of Hayes Developments. I have investors lined up, but they want to see family commitment before they put in their capital. Your portion of the inheritance would signal that commitment. I pull the folder from my bag, placing it on the counter between us. I had my lawyer finalize the arrangements yesterday. Mom's inheritance stays in trust, with quarterly distributions to me. I've earmarked 20% of those distributions for charitable donations to cancer research. You've what? The vein in Richard's temple pulses. Without discussing it with me? With the family. It was never your decision to make. You selfish, ungrateful. He cuts himself off, knuckles white against the granite countertop. That money could save the company your grandfather built. The company that paid for your fancy education and comfortable childhood. My education was paid for by my college fund, which Mom established separately because she didn't trust the company's stability even then. I meet his gaze steadily. And I'm not against helping the family business, Uncle Richard. I'm against handing over my inheritance with no oversight to someone who drives a $100,000 car while claiming financial hardship. The back door opens and Dad returns with a bag of ice. All set. The decorations look great on the porch. Guests should be arriving in about an hour. Richard's expression transforms so quickly it's unsettling, rage to pleasant calm in the blink of an eye. Perfect timing, Thomas. Eleanor was just sharing some exciting news about her inheritance. Dad's smile falters. Oh! I thought we agreed not to discuss business today. It's fine, Dad. I force a smile. Just finalizing some details of Mom's estate. Nothing to worry about. But the damage is done. The celebratory mood has soured, and the 3 of us move through the next hour of preparations in a strained dance of politeness. More family members arrive early to help. Aunt Patricia, Richard's ex-wife, and my cousins Melissa and Jackson. Melissa catches my eye as she arranges flowers, raising an eyebrow in silent question. I give a slight head shake. Not now. By 4 o'clock, the house is ready. Streamers hang from the ceiling. Photos of Dad through the years create a timeline in the hallway, and the dining table groans under the weight of his favorite foods. The surprise party is scheduled for 4:30, with guests hiding on the back porch while Dad is distracted in the front yard. Richard, would you mind checking the grill on the porch? Dad asks, oblivious to what awaits him there. I think we're running low on propane. Actually, Richard says smoothly, Eleanor had something she wanted to show you out there first. Something about one of the porch railings being loose. I frown. I didn't. It's a safety issue, Richard insists, his eyes boring into mine. Wouldn't want anyone getting hurt at the party. The implicit threat hangs in the air between us. Dad looks confused but nods agreeably. Lead the way, Elle. Trapped, I guide Dad toward the back porch. Through the windows, I can see relatives and friends crouched in hiding positions, cameras ready. This isn't how the surprise is supposed to unfold. Richard follows close behind us, his presence heavy at my back. As soon as we step onto the porch, I turn to warn Dad, but Richard speaks first. Thomas, Eleanor has something to tell you. Something that impacts the whole family. Dad's confusion deepens. What's going on? Nothing, Dad. Let's just. She's locked away Margaret's inheritance, Richard interrupts. Put it in a trust where the family can't access it, even as Hayes Developments faces bankruptcy. The hidden guests shift uncomfortably. This isn't the joyful surprise they prepared for. Is this true? Dad asks, his voice soft. I swallow hard. I've secured Mom's inheritance in a trust, yes. With distributions that allow me to support causes she cared about. It's what she wanted. What she wanted, Richard scoffs. Margaret wanted the family to thrive. The business to survive. If that were true, she would have left her share to the company, I counter, anger flaring. She didn't. She left it to me, with specific instructions. Dad raises his hands. This isn't the time or place. No, Thomas, it is, Richard insists. Your daughter is abandoning the family legacy while pretending it's what Margaret would have wanted. She's being selfish. I'm honoring Mom's wishes. My voice rises despite my efforts to stay calm. She knew exactly what she was doing when she set up her will. She didn't trust you with her money then, and I don't trust you with it now. Richard's face contorts with rage. You think you're so superior with your fancy degree and downtown apartment. You've never had to make the hard decisions to keep a business alive. You've never sacrificed anything. Sacrificed? I laugh incredulously. Like how you sacrificed by buying a new Mercedes while laying off employees who'd been with the company for decades. Or how you sacrificed by taking 3 vacations last year while the company hemorrhaged money. Eleanor, please, Dad interjects, distress evident in his voice. It's my birthday. Can we just? Your daughter needs to learn respect, Richard snarls. She needs to understand what family loyalty means. I square my shoulders, suddenly tired of the pretense. I've made my decision. The inheritance stays in trust. If you want to discuss potential investments for Hayes Developments, you can present a proper business plan to my financial advisor like anyone else would. Something dangerous flashes in Richard's eyes. You ungrateful little. Enough, Dad shouts, startling us both. This ends now. Richard, I told you this morning that Eleanor's inheritance was her decision. I've supported you at every turn with the business, but I won't let you bully my daughter. Richard turns on my father, jabbing a finger into his chest. You've always coddled her. Margaret did too. That's why she thinks she can disrespect everything our family has built. The only disrespect here is coming from you, I interject, stepping between them. Dad deserves better than the spectacle on his birthday. I'm not discussing this anymore. I turn to leave, acutely aware of the guests watching this family drama unfold. Behind me, I hear Richard's sharp intake of breath. You walk away now, and you're no longer part of this family, he threatens. Your access to Hayes Developments ends today. I pause at the top of the porch steps, fury coursing through me. That was never your decision to make either. And then several things happen at once. I hear movement behind me, feel a hard shove between my shoulder blades, and suddenly I'm airborne. My ankle twists as I try to catch myself, and then I'm tumbling down the stone steps. Pain explodes through my body as I land hard on the concrete path below. Gasps and cries erupt from the hiding guests. Through the shock and pain, I see cameras raised, not to capture Dad's surprise, but my uncle's assault. Dad's horrified shout seems to come from far away as he rushes down the steps toward me. Above him, Richard stands frozen, as if he can't quite believe what he's just done. Elle! Oh my God, Elle! Dad kneels beside me, hands hovering, afraid to touch and cause more pain. I try to sit up, wincing as pain shoots through my ankle and wrist. I'm okay, I lie, the metallic taste of blood filling my mouth where I've bitten my cheek. I'm fine. But I'm not fine. Beyond the physical pain, the reality of what just happened washes over me in waves. My uncle, my father's brother, just physically assaulted me over money. In front of witnesses. On my father's birthday. Melissa pushes through the stunned crowd, her nursing training taking over as she gently examines me. Don't move yet. That was a bad fall. Richard finally unfreezes, starting down the steps. It was an accident. She lost her balance. We all saw what happened, Aunt Patricia says coldly, her phone still raised. I have it on video, Richard. The blood drains from his face. Dad stands, turning to face his brother with a coldness I've never seen before. Get out of my house. Thomas, be reasonable. I didn't mean. Get out. Dad roars, his entire body shaking with rage. If she's injured, I'm calling the police. Either way, you're done here. Done with this family. The party guests, once hidden for a joyful surprise, now form a wall of silent judgment. No one moves to support Richard. No one offers an excuse for his behavior. Jackson, always the peacemaker, steps forward. Uncle Richard, I'll drive you home. You shouldn't be behind the wheel right now. Richard looks around wildly, seeming to finally grasp the magnitude of what he's done. This isn't, she provoked. He stops, swallowing whatever justification he was about to offer. With a final glare in my direction, he allows Jackson to lead him away. The next few hours pass in a blur. Melissa determines nothing is broken, but my wrist is sprained, my ankle badly twisted, and various scrapes and bruises are already forming. Most guests leave quietly, birthday celebration forgotten in the wake of family drama. A few close friends stay, helping Dad ice my injuries and bringing me pain relievers. I'm so sorry, I tell Dad as we sit in the living room, the birthday decorations now seeming garish and out of place. This was supposed to be your special day. Don't you dare apologize, he says firmly, holding an ice pack to my wrist. None of this is your fault. But the party is the least of my concerns. He sighs heavily. I should have shut Richard down months ago when he first started pressuring you about the inheritance. I just wanted to keep the peace. You couldn't have known he'd react like this. Dad's expression darkens. Maybe not this specifically, but Richard has always had a temper. It's why Patricia left him, though she never said it outright. He shakes his head. Your mother was right to leave her share directly to you. She always saw Richard more clearly than I did. A knock at the front door interrupts us. Dad rises to answer it, returning moments later with 2 police officers. Mr. Hayes? I'm Officer Bennett. This is Officer Ramirez. We received a call about an assault at this address. I look up in surprise. Dad? Did you call them? I didn't, he says, equally confused. Aunt Patricia steps forward from the kitchen. I did. Eleanor, what Richard did wasn't just wrong, it was criminal. It needs to be documented, even if you choose not to press charges. The next hour is spent giving statements, showing the officers the video Patricia captured, and documenting my injuries. When they finally leave, promising to follow up, the house is quiet except for the few remaining family members. Dad sinks into the couch beside me, suddenly looking every one of his 60 years. Some birthday, huh? Despite everything, I laugh, a small, broken sound that somehow breaks the tension. We'll do better next year. I promise. Next year, we're having your birthday at a restaurant, Aunt Patricia declares. With professional security. Later, after everyone has gone and Dad has finally been convinced to open his gifts, including the Hemingway, which brings tears to his eyes, we sit on the couch together in companionable silence. The day's events hang heavy between us, unspoken questions about what comes next. I want you to know, Dad says finally, that I support your decision about the inheritance. Your mother would be proud of how you've handled yourself. Even getting shoved down the stairs? I try to joke, but it falls flat. Especially standing your ground before that. He takes my uninjured hand. Elle, there's something you should know about Hayes developments. Something I've suspected but confirmed only recently. I straighten, suddenly alert. What is it? Richard hasn't just been making bad business decisions. I think he's been embezzling from the company for years. The revelation lands like a physical blow. You're sure? Not enough to prove it legally yet. But I've been quietly looking into some discrepancies in the books. Dad looks grim. I think that's why he's been so desperate for your inheritance. He needs to cover his tracks before anyone else notices. Suddenly, Richard's desperation makes a terrible kind of sense. What are you going to do? What we're going to do, Dad corrects, is protect what's left of the company your grandfather built. Starting tomorrow, I'm coming out of retirement and taking back control of Hayes Developments. Dad, no, you left for a reason. Your health is just fine. He squeezes my hand. I stepped back because your mother needed me, and because I thought Richard was capable of taking the reins. I was wrong. Now I need to make it right. You don't have to do this alone, I say, a plan beginning to form. My friend Sarah from architecture school specializes in redevelopment projects. And with my inheritance, not handed over to Richard, but properly invested in specific projects, we could revitalize the parts of the business that were always profitable. Hope flickers in Dad's eyes. You'd want to be involved? Even after today? Hayes Developments is my legacy too, I remind him. Not because Richard tried to guilt me into it, but because it matters to you. And what matters to you, matters to me. For the first time all day, Dad's smile reaches his eyes. Your mother would be so proud of the woman you've become. As we sit together making plans for the future, I realize something important. Sometimes a fall can be the very thing that shows you who will help you rise again. My ankle throbs and my wrist aches, but surrounded by the people who truly have my back, I've never felt stronger. The next morning, I wake to the sound of my phone buzzing. It's a text message from Melissa with a link to a news article. My stomach drops as I read the headline, "Local developer arrested on embezzlement charges." Richard's corporate headshot stares back from the screen. It seems that after yesterday's incident, someone at Hayes Developments finally came forward with evidence of his financial misconduct. I called Dad immediately. Did you see the news? I did. One of the accountants called me at dawn. His voice is weighted with complicated emotion, the burden of family loyalty warring with justice. Apparently after word spread about what happened at the party, the financial controller decided it was time to share what she's been documenting for months. The police have already frozen Richard's accounts. Are you okay? I ask softly. A long pause. I will be. The company might actually survive this, now that the bleeding has been stopped. Another pause. Elle, would you come to the office today? There are some decisions to make, and I'd value your perspective. I'll be there in an hour, I promise. When I arrive at Hayes Developments, the atmosphere is tense but purposeful. Employees nod respectfully as Dad leads me through the offices toward the main conference room. Some offer sympathetic glances at my wrist brace and slight limp. News travels fast in family businesses. The executive team is already assembled, the financial controller who blew the whistle, the head of operations, the marketing director, and a few project managers. As Dad introduces me, explaining that I'll be joining as a consultant focusing on sustainable redevelopment, I feel a strange sense of coming home. Not because Richard tried to force me here, but because I'm choosing it on my own terms. The meeting is productive, honest in a way these discussions haven't been in years, according to the longtime employees. We identify which projects to salvage and which to cut loose. We discuss how my trust distributions could be invested, not handed over blindly as Richard wanted, but strategically placed in specific projects with clear returns. As we break for lunch, Dad pulls me aside. There's one more thing. He leads me to what was once my grandfather's office, recently occupied by Richard. I want you to take this space. I blink in surprise. Dad, I'm just consulting. I don't need. For now, yes. But I think we both know this is where you belong. He gestures around the space. Not because of obligation or guilt, but because you have vision. The kind of vision Hayes Developments needs if it's going to survive another generation. Looking around the office, I can almost see the ghosts of the past, my grandfather drafting plans at the large desk, my mother reviewing contracts by the window, even Dad in his younger days mapping out new developments. But I can also see a future, sustainable buildings, community-focused developments, projects that honor the Hayes legacy while moving boldly forward. Let me think about it, I say, not ready to commit, but no longer automatically rejecting the idea. Dad smiles knowingly. Take all the time you need. Just know the door is open. That evening, as I return to my apartment, I find a small package waiting outside my door. Inside is the family photo that once hung in my grandfather's office. Richard had removed it when he took over the space. A note from Dad is tucked alongside. No matter what you decide about the company, you're the future of this family. Love, Dad. I hang the photo on my wall, next to my architecture degree and the first blueprint I ever designed. The bruises from my fall will heal, as will the family wounds Richard inflicted. What remains is my choice, not forced by guilt or obligation, but freely made with clear eyes and full understanding of both the costs and rewards. Sometimes you have to fall to discover who you truly are. In my case, it took tumbling down stone steps to realize I'd been running from my legacy rather than redefining it on my own terms. Richard wanted to control my inheritance, but in the end, he freed me to claim something far more valuable, my place in the family story, written in my own words. Tomorrow, I'll return to the Hayes Development's office. Not because anyone pushed me there, but because it's the path I'm choosing for myself. And that makes all the difference.